Outlander's Heughan shocks Tony McGill by revealing Louis isn't his and Caitriona Balfe's son. Baby shower, a moment of peace. Tony McGill stood in the quiet foyer of the old Somerset seaside house, where his closest friends and family had gathered to celebrate the birth of Caitriona. The faint scent of roses and oranges filled the air, and laughter and toasts mingled with the cool breeze outside the window. Louis, their first baby boy, slept soundly in his wooden crib, the soft light illuminating his innocent face. Tony could not hide his happiness. He was a real father. Caitriona came over, placed her hand lightly on his shoulder, and smiled gently. It was a moment like that, peaceful and complete. But who would have thought, at that same moment, a secret was revealed that would turn everything upside down. The revelation under the flickering light. As the party ended, Tony caught sight of Heughan standing alone by the window, the dim light reflecting off the glass. Sam nodded, then said, "Tony, episode 6 is coming up, we have to talk." Tony nodded, feeling a little unhappy. The conversation moved to a small room nearby, where there were only 3 people, Sam, Tony, and a few close people. Sam sighed, his eyes confused. "Tony, I know this will shock you, but Louis is not your biological son and Caitriona's." The words hit like a punch. Tony stood still, his heart stopping for a moment. Caitriona, standing still nearby, didn't say anything. But her eyes were filled with worry, both worried and hiding something, back in the past. The story began to flash back a few months, when they were filming season 6 of Outlander. During a small family photoshoot, Caitriona's belly subtly appears, not that the actress is pregnant, but just a small detail that raises questions from some of the crew. One evening, in the cozy trailer after filming, Caitriona is drunk enough to say to Sam, "Sam, do you think Louis is our child?" Sam, with a curious look, replies, "Of course, he looks a lot like me." But Caitriona doesn't answer right away. She changes the subject, and they fall silent. The secret piece is revealed. The scene shifts to behind the scenes. Late one evening, Sam overhears a conversation between Caitriona and her personal nurse. They discuss a special cloning procedure, and Louis is referred to by a different name on internal records, Louis M. Sam woke up and realized, maybe this wasn't just a normal pregnancy. The conversation was heavy. Back to the present, Tony still calmly asked, "Sam, what are you saying?" "Louis is not my child." "But whose?" Sam sighed, her eyes shifting to Caitriona. She slowly stood up, her shoulders shaking slightly. "Tony, Louis is adopted. The doctor and I wanted to keep the information private because of the psychological impact after the previous loss. We wanted a private way to create a real family, for Louis and for me." Tony could not believe what he had just heard. The hurt was compounded, not because Louis was not his child, but because he had never been told the truth. Emotional overload. That night, Tony walked out into the garden. The sea breeze gently caressed his face. In the silence, his heart beat strongly. Caitriona followed, softly. I was afraid of losing you if you knew." Tony turned around, tears streaming down his face. "I love him like my own son. But I need to talk more. About why. Caitriona burst into tears, her words choking out. "I lost a baby during assisted reproduction. The pain consumed us. I didn't want Louis to be just a compensation. He was our true love, but I was afraid he wouldn't be able to accept it. I thought it would be easier to keep it a secret." Decision and forgiveness. Tony was silent. The past, the pain, and the love were intertwined. Little Louis slept inside, the only one in the story who wasn't at fault. Tony looked at Caitriona. We have to be strong for him. For this family. But, the truth, is a big deal. I don't want it to fall apart. Caitriona nods, her eyes warm but regretful. I will tell him when the time comes. But now can you forgive me? Peace returns, but differently. The next day, they walk along the docks, Louis in the stroller, both holding hands. No words are needed, just their presence is enough to heal the emotional wounds. Tony opens his heart and says, I will love him like my own son, but I need time to understand. And we need to do it together. Caitriona smiles, tears glistening. Thank you. A deeper crack. What role does Sam play in this mystery? Tony couldn't sleep. Ever since that night, sleep had been a tenuous concept. He sat quietly in his office, looking through old frames of the three of them, himself, Caitriona, and baby Louis, when he was just 2 months old. By the dim desk lamp, Tony opened an old email from a folder labeled, Cast Crew, Confidential. An attachment he had never opened. He clicked on it, and what made him shiver appeared. Newborn DNA testing documents, internal circulation under the studio's health insurance rules. The subject line stood out, test subject, Louis Balfe, reference, Sam Heughan. Tony froze. Why was Sam a reference? The dawn call. It was just before 6 a.m., Tony called Sam. No beating around the bush. I found your name on Louis' DNA. Why? Is there something I don't know? Sam was silent on the other end of the line. There was only a sigh. I was asked to donate sperm to a bank in a confidential artist program, around 2018. I thought it was to help with research. But later, when Caitriona was going through her IVF failures, she asked me. Privately, unsolicited, she didn't want it public. Didn't want paperwork, just a trusted friend. Tony slumped in his chair. A part of his heart broke. Louis might not be his biological son. But now, maybe, Sam's biological son. Why didn't you say so from the beginning? Because I wasn't sure. I never signed the final release. And because Louis is Caitriona's son. That's it. I never intended to claim paternity. Inside truth. Caitriona sat across from Tony that evening. No evasion. Yes, I asked Sam for help. But I didn't use that form. I decided to adopt after my last miscarriage. Louis came from another mother, a young woman in Iceland who couldn't afford to raise him. I hid it all because I was afraid you wouldn't accept that you weren't biologically related. But Louis is my child. Our child. Tony was silent. Then he said, for the first time with relief. Thank you for telling the truth.